A True Life Astral Journey, by Kenzo Roberts. Published by Lord Kabura's Magic Haven. Introduction. I'm Kenzo Roberts, and this is the story of how I came to know the Astral Planes, an unseen world that exists right beside our own. It's a place that defies the limits of the physical, where whispers of hidden knowledge drift like echoes across forgotten realms. I never thought I would hear those whispers, much less understand them. But when I did, it changed everything. Imagine this: the space between your thoughts, that fleeting moment between waking and sleeping, is actually a veil. Beyond it lies a dimension full of mysteries we can barely comprehend, a place where the soul can travel freely, unbound by time or matter. In this realm, the ancient and the new collide, creating a flow of messages, symbols, and voices that guide those willing to listen. These whispers are not loud or clear. They are subtle, like wind rustling through leaves at twilight, and they speak only to those ready to hear. In the beginning, I was nothing more than a curious seeker, drawn by an inner pull I couldn't explain. I had heard of the astral planes in passing, legends, stories from mystics, but I never thought they were real, not until they called to me. And that's how my journey began, standing at the edge of two worlds, unsure but undeniably intrigued. Little did I know that stepping through that veil would reveal secrets about myself and the universe that would change me forever. Chapter 1: Awakening the Inner Sight. The first time I touched the astral planes, it wasn't planned. It happened during meditation, a practice I'd picked up to calm my restless mind. I closed my eyes, breathed deeply, and sank into silence. That's when it started. At first, it was faint, almost imperceptible, a whisper, or perhaps a thought. But then it grew stronger, and with it came visions. Not clear images, but flashes of light, swirling colors, and a sense of movement, as though my mind had drifted beyond the room I was sitting in. I didn't understand what was happening at the time. I wasn't seeking any mystical experience, yet here it was, unfolding in front of me. I could feel my consciousness expanding, reaching beyond the limitations of my body. And in that moment, someone, whispered to me. The words were not clear, but the feeling was unmistakable. It was like being handed a key to a door I didn't even know existed. In that fleeting moment, I understood that I had touched the edge of something profound, the forgotten realms, a place where the boundaries between reality and dream blur. These realms are not easy to navigate. They reveal themselves only to those who are willing to embrace the unknown and trust their intuition. That night, as I reflected on what had happened, I realized that this was no accident. I hadn't stumbled upon this experience by chance. The whispers were calling me for a reason, and though I didn't know it then, I was on the brink of a journey that would unravel the deepest mysteries of the astral planes. My inner sight was awakening, and with it, a new purpose was unfolding before me. The journey had just begun, and the whispers, those faint, ethereal messages, would guide me every step of the way. Chapter 2: Crossing the Threshold. The night I crossed the threshold into the astral planes, the world as I knew it felt like it slipped away. It didn't happen with fanfare or a grand ceremony. In fact, it was almost deceptively simple, a quiet evening, the kind we often dismiss as ordinary. But this time, there was a pull, a gentle nudge in the pit of my stomach, urging me to return to meditation, to close my eyes and surrender. I had no idea I was about to experience something that would forever alter my reality. As I sat down in my usual spot, I steadied my breathing, as I had done countless times before. But this time, something was different. My body grew heavier, sinking into the earth, while my mind felt lighter, expanding, reaching. And then it happened, the unmistakable sensation of detachment. It was as though my body and soul had split, yet I was still whole. I felt a sudden lightness, as if gravity had released me. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my room anymore. My physical form was there, seated in stillness, but my consciousness, my essence, had shifted. I was floating, suspended in a space that felt both boundless and intimate. The astral planes. I had crossed the threshold. The transition wasn't jarring, but smooth, like stepping into a dream. Only this dream was vivid, pulsing with energy. The space around me wasn't defined by walls or physical boundaries. It was vast, open, yet filled with glowing landscapes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. The colors were vibrant, more intense than anything I had seen in the waking world, golden skies, emerald rivers, and structures that appeared to be made of light itself. Buildings, if you could call them that, seemed to rise and fall in fluid motion, their shapes constantly shifting as if they were alive. At first, I drifted aimlessly, unsure of where to go or what to do. It was overwhelming, the sheer magnitude of this new dimension. I could feel the pull of my physical body in the distance, as if I could return at any moment, but something held me here, curiosity, perhaps, or maybe the whispers that had first drawn me into this realm. I knew I couldn't leave, not yet. And then, from the glowing horizon, a figure emerged. It was neither male nor female, yet both. It wasn't human, but I felt an undeniable connection to it, as though I had known this being for lifetimes. It was tall, cloaked in light, its form fluid and ethereal. There were no distinct features, just a presence, calm, ancient, and wise. "Welcome," the figure said, though its voice wasn't audible in the traditional sense. It echoed inside me, resonating in the very core of my being. "You've crossed the threshold." I knew immediately that this was my astral guide, a mentor from this realm sent to help me navigate. The guide floated closer, and as it did, I could feel its energy wash over me, warm, reassuring, and full of knowledge. It didn't need to explain anything for me to understand, the answers flowed into my consciousness as naturally as breathing. "You've been called here for a reason," the guide said. "The whispers you've heard, the visions, they are all part of the journey. You are not the first to walk this path, and you will not be the last. But your journey is your own, unique to your soul." I was mesmerized, not just by the words, but by the experience. Everything around me seemed to pulse with life. The landscape wasn't solid, it moved, shifted, responding to thought, emotion, and energy. This realm was fluid, ever-changing, and it felt alive in a way that the physical world didn't. "Where am I?" I finally asked, though the question felt almost unnecessary. "The astral planes, the space between worlds," the guide responded. "Here, you will find answers, but you will also find questions. It is a realm of possibilities, where your soul can travel beyond the limitations of the physical body." As the guide spoke, I could see glimpses of other beings, other travelers, passing through the planes. Some moved with purpose, while others seemed lost, wandering through the shifting landscapes as if searching for something just beyond their reach. The astral planes were vast, filled with infinite realities that folded into one another like layers of a dream. For a moment, I felt a sense of disorientation. How could I possibly navigate such a place? But the guide seemed to sense my unease and placed a hand made of light, on my shoulder. The touch grounded me, bringing a sense of calm. "You are not alone," it said. "You have been here before, many times. Trust your instincts, for they are the map that will guide you. The answers you seek are not out there, but within you." With that, the guide began to lead me deeper into the plains. We floated over glowing rivers and through forests made of shimmering light. Every step, or rather, every thought, seemed to propel us forward, bending the very fabric of space. The surroundings shifted constantly, like a reflection in water disturbed by ripples, but I never felt lost. The guide was always by my side. As we moved, I could feel the whispers growing louder. They were no longer faint echoes but clear messages, though still cryptic. They spoke of secrets buried deep in the forgotten realms, of knowledge that had been lost to time. And as the whispers grew, so did my sense of purpose. I knew that this journey was just beginning, and the further I ventured, the more I would uncover, not just about the astral planes, but about myself. The threshold had been crossed. There was no turning back now. Chapter 3, the guardians of lost knowledge. It wasn't long after my first brush with the astral planes that I encountered the guardians of lost knowledge. My initial journeys into the realms were brief, tentative, like dipping a toe into unknown waters. Each time, the whispers grew louder, more coherent, urging me to go deeper. I was no longer just wandering, I was being guided, pulled toward something. And one night, during a particularly vivid dream, I crossed paths with them, the guardians. The moment I entered the astral that night, I felt a shift. The colors, the atmosphere, even the air around me hummed with a kind of presence I hadn't sensed before. I was no longer floating in the liminal spaces between thoughts and dreams. I had entered a place of purpose, a realm within the realms, and it felt ancient, older than time itself. Suddenly, I saw them. They didn't appear like beings of flesh and bone, but as radiant figures, glowing with an otherworldly light. Their forms were not fixed, they shifted between shapes, sometimes human-like, sometimes ethereal, shimmering like reflections in water. These were no ordinary spirits. They were something more, the guardians of lost knowledge, protectors of the deepest mysteries of the astral planes. One of them stepped forward, though "stepped" wasn't quite the right word. It was as if they glided through space, their very presence commanding my full attention. Without speaking, I understood what they were, keepers of the truths long forgotten by humanity. They weren't there to harm or mislead me, they were the protectors of ancient wisdom, and they had chosen to reveal themselves to me. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice sounding small and distant in the vastness of the astral plane. Their answer didn't come in words, but as a feeling, a deep understanding that settled into my mind like a forgotten memory resurfacing. They were the guardians of knowledge that had been hidden for eons, ever since humankind had turned away from its spiritual roots. The forgotten realms were full of truths that had once been known but had since been erased from memory. These realms contained records of ancient civilizations, lost souls, and the hidden laws that govern the universe, knowledge that could reshape reality, if only we remembered how to access it. I felt humbled in their presence. They didn't look down on me, but there was a silent acknowledgement. To continue my journey, to uncover more of the wisdom they protected, I had to prove myself worthy. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I could sense the weight of their expectations. This was not something they revealed lightly. Then, as if reading my thoughts, the guardian who stood closest to me finally spoke, but not in any language I knew. It was a vibration, a pulse of energy that bypassed my mind and went straight to my soul. In that instant, I understood that there were layers of reality beyond what I had ever imagined. They spoke of human potential, the hidden laws of the universe, and the deep, forgotten connection between all beings. They told me that humanity once knew these truths but had chosen to forget them, in favor of a more material existence. The first secret they shared was about the nature of spiritual evolution. I was shown how each soul is like a seed, planted in the soil of existence. Over lifetimes, we grow, learn, and evolve, moving closer to our true potential. But most people never awaken to this journey. They live their lives unaware of the spiritual forces shaping their paths, caught in the illusions of the material world. The second secret was even more startling. The astral planes were not just a realm for souls to travel, they were a repository of forgotten history. Everything that had ever been lost, erased, or deliberately hidden from human consciousness existed there, waiting to be rediscovered. The rise and fall of forgotten civilizations, the stories of souls who had been erased from the records of time, the truths that had been obscured by generations of misunderstanding, all of it lay within the astral realms, protected by these guardians. But to continue this journey, I had to face a challenge. The guardians revealed that I was not just a passive observer in these realms. I had to prove that I was worthy of their secrets, that I had the inner strength to carry the knowledge they protected. This wasn't about physical strength or intellect. It was about spiritual integrity, overcoming my fears, doubts, and illusions that tied me to the material world. The trial wasn't described in detail, but I could feel it looming. It would test me in ways I couldn't predict. I would have to face the shadows of my own mind, the hidden fears that had been holding me back all my life. And only by overcoming them could I move forward, deeper into the astral planes, and closer to the ultimate truths that lay hidden in the forgotten realms. As the vision began to fade, the guardians left me with one final message, something I would carry with me throughout the rest of my journey: the greatest knowledge is not found in the realms beyond but within. To master the astral planes, you must first master yourself. And with that, I was back in my physical body, lying in the quiet of my room. But the sense of awe and purpose remained. I had been chosen to unlock the secrets of the forgotten realms, but first, I had to prove that I was ready. The whispers of the astral planes had only just begun to reveal their mysteries. Chapter 4: The Celestial Labyrinth. Stepping into the celestial labyrinth felt like crossing an unseen threshold into another reality, a place crafted from shimmering light and shifting shadows. The air was thick with an intoxicating mix of mystery and possibility. As I moved further in, the walls of the labyrinth pulsated with colors I had never seen before, hues that seemed to defy description. This was not just a physical space, it was a manifestation of the mind, a labyrinth that mirrored the complexities of life itself. Each pathway branched off into varying degrees of brightness, leading me toward different realms of existence. One path glowed with a warm golden light, emanating the essence of love and connection. Another, dark and twisting, suggested the heavy weight of grief and loss. Yet another flickered with the cool sheen of wisdom, illuminating the importance of understanding and knowledge. Each route beckoned with a promise of discovery, but also whispered warnings of the challenges I might face along the way. As I stepped tentatively down one of the winding paths, the whispers intensified, echoing softly like a chorus of ancient souls guiding my steps. They came from all directions, a blend of voices layered upon one another, some familiar, others utterly foreign. I could distinguish a tender voice, a maternal presence, urging me to seek love and compassion, while another spoke with authority, its tone demanding respect for the wisdom gained through trials and suffering. "Face the shadows, Kenzo," a voice intoned, resonating from deep within the labyrinth's core. "You cannot escape what lies within." Suddenly, the path shifted, and I found myself standing at a crossroad. To my left, a vibrant scene unfolded, depicting the joy of love blossoming in a sun-drenched garden. To my right, the shadows deepened, a chilling representation of death's inevitable embrace. Each choice felt like a mirror reflecting the parts of me I had long tried to ignore. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my unresolved fears pressing against my chest. Memories of my past rushed forth, moments of doubt, regrets, and the heavy cloak of sorrow that often shrouded my heart. I could see fragments of my life flash before my eyes, moments of loss, opportunities missed, and relationships tarnished by misunderstandings. Each memory served as a guidepost, a warning sign urging me to confront what I had buried rather than flee from it. "Embrace the journey, not just the destination," another whisper floated through the air, this one softer, almost playful. It reminded me that each experience, even the painful ones, had shaped me into who I was at that moment. With renewed determination, I stepped toward the shadowed path on my right. The darkness enveloped me, but I pressed forward, knowing I needed to confront these fears to break free from their hold. As I journeyed deeper into the shadows, I felt the air grow heavy with tension. Each step echoed with the heartbeat of the labyrinth, pulsating like a living entity that thrived on my emotions. Suddenly, I found myself in a vast chamber, the walls lined with flickering candlelight that danced like fireflies. In the center stood a figure cloaked in shadow, a representation of my fears made manifest. The figure's face was indistinct, a swirling mass of anxiety, regret, and sorrow. This was my past, my grief personified, and it stared back at me with hollow eyes. "You cannot change what has been, Kenzo," it whispered, its voice laced with despair. "You can only carry it with you." In that moment, I understood the truth. The figure was not my enemy, it was a part of me that needed acknowledgement, a reflection of the pain I had fought so hard to escape. Instead of retreating in fear, I took a step forward, allowing myself to feel the weight of those memories. "I acknowledge you," I said, my voice steady. "You are part of my journey. I will not let you define me, but I will honor the lessons you bring." With those words, the figure began to dissolve, the shadows receding like mist under the morning sun. I felt an overwhelming sense of release, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders. In that sacred moment, I realized that by facing my fears, I had unlocked a deeper understanding of myself. As the labyrinth shifted again, revealing new paths bathed in light, the whispers became clearer, guiding me toward the next phase of my journey. Each step forward filled me with hope, a reminder that though the past could not be changed, the future was mine to shape. I was ready to explore further, to uncover the secrets of the astral planes, and to discover the truths waiting beyond the next turn in the celestial labyrinth. Chapter 5: The Book of Forgotten Souls. The air in the library was thick with dust and time, as if the very walls were imbued with the weight of countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. It was here, hidden among a maze of shelves lined with leather-bound tomes and scrolls, that I stumbled upon the Book of Forgotten Souls. Its cover was adorned with intricate designs, depicting swirling galaxies and ethereal beings, giving it an aura that beckoned me closer. As I reached out, a jolt of energy surged through my fingertips, igniting a sense of recognition deep within me. As I opened the book, the pages crackled softly, revealing text that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Each word felt alive, vibrating with a resonance that echoed within my soul. This was no ordinary book. It was a gateway into the collective experiences of those who had traversed the astral planes before me. I felt an inexplicable connection to the souls who had penned their stories within these pages, each tale a thread woven into the vast tapestry of existence. As I delved into the narratives, I learned that these souls had once stood at crossroads similar to mine, grappling with the profound questions of purpose, love, and the nature of reality. They had faced trials and tribulations, experienced joy and despair, and ultimately sought answers that lay just beyond their reach. Each story was unique, yet they shared a common theme: the quest for enlightenment and understanding. I was captivated by the notion that these souls had ventured beyond the physical realm, their experiences echoing through the ages like whispered secrets. One account stood out, a tale of a soul named Alaric, who had lived during an age of great turmoil. His story spoke of a longing for peace amidst chaos, of searching for truths that transcended the confines of his earthly existence. Alaric had spent lifetimes wrestling with his own desires and fears, only to discover that the answers he sought were not external, but rather buried deep within himself. His journey had brought him to the astral planes, a resting place between incarnations where he could reflect, learn, and prepare for his next life. Reading this, I felt a profound shift within myself. What if my own struggles mirrored those of Alaric? What if the trials I faced were not just random occurrences, but vital lessons in a much larger narrative? I began to see the connections between my past, present, and future lives. The concept of reincarnation took on a new light, each lifetime a chapter in an ongoing saga of the soul, with the astral planes serving as a sanctuary where we could digest our experiences and evolve. As I turned another page, I discovered insights about karma, the intricate web of cause and effect that binds us across lifetimes. Every action, every choice, reverberates through the fabric of our being, influencing not just our current existence but the path we will take in the future. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. I was not merely an isolated individual, I was part of a greater cosmic dance, and my journey was intertwined with those of countless others who had come before me. In that moment of clarity, I recognized that my current quest was a continuation of an ancient search for wisdom. I, too, had lived before, traversing different eras and embodying various identities. Each life had imparted lessons, shaping me into who I was meant to be in this lifetime. The whispers I had heard earlier now made sense. They were echoes of my past selves, urging me to remember the knowledge I had gained. I closed the book, overwhelmed with gratitude for the souls who had shared their experiences. The Book of Forgotten Souls was not merely a collection of stories, it was a mirror reflecting my own journey and a guide illuminating the path ahead. With newfound determination, I set my intention to connect with the wisdom of those who had walked the astral planes before me, ready to embrace the lessons they had learned and apply them to my own life. Leaving the library, I felt the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. I was no longer alone in my quest. I had a lineage of souls beside me, guiding me as I navigated the complexities of existence. As I stepped into the twilight, the whispers of the forgotten realms grew louder, urging me onward into the mysteries that awaited. The astral planes held the keys to my past and future, and I was ready to unlock their secrets. Chapter 6: The Whispering Winds of Time. As I ventured further into the astral realms, I began to sense a new presence. It was subtle at first, like a faint breeze brushing against my skin. But as I moved deeper, this force became more distinct, a wind, though it carried no sound or scent. It seemed to weave through the very fabric of the realms, an unseen current whispering secrets in a language that was both ancient and eternal. These were the whispering winds of time. I stood at the edge of a vast expanse, an endless horizon where time seemed to ripple and flow like water. Here, the air itself seemed alive, swirling with faint echoes of events both long gone and yet to come. The winds brushed against my soul, and with every gust, I felt a shift in my perception. It was as if I could see moments from the past, present, and future all at once, layered upon one another like overlapping waves. The winds whispered to me in voices both familiar and foreign. They showed me glimpses of my life, a childhood memory, a decision I had yet to make, a possibility of what might be. But unlike anything I had ever experienced, these moments weren't bound by the rigid structure of time I had always known. In the astral planes, time wasn't linear. It was fluid, interconnected, and open to interpretation. I could see my younger self and my older self, existing in the same space, each one affecting the other. It was a disorienting realization, but strangely, it made sense. In this place, the future wasn't a fixed point on a distant horizon, it was happening now, unfolding with every choice I made. The past wasn't just a memory but an active participant in shaping the present and the future. Time, in the astral planes, was like a vast river with countless tributaries. Every decision, every action, sent ripples through the current, altering its course in ways I couldn't fully comprehend. The winds began to speak more clearly now, their whispers guiding me to confront a question that had long lingered in my mind: is our future set in stone, or do we have the power to shape it? As I stood in the heart of this temporal vortex, I was shown multiple paths, visions of potential futures, each one branching from the decisions I would soon face. I saw a version of myself who had taken one path, living a life of quiet contentment. In another, I had made a different choice, leading to a life filled with adventure but also with loss. Each future was vivid, real, and yet not entirely certain. The whispers told me these were not prophecies but possibilities, fluid and changeable. The wind carried with it both comfort and warning. I could see that the choices I made in the present moment would ripple through time, altering the course of my destiny. But I also understood that there was no predestined path, no fate that I was helpless to escape. The future, the whispers said, was like clay, ready to be molded by the hands of free will. Yet, even as I absorbed this knowledge, a deep question stirred within me: what about destiny? Were there certain events or experiences that were inevitable, no matter what choices I made? The wind seemed to slow, their whispers growing quieter as if they were contemplating this very question. I waited, feeling the weight of the unknown pressing against me. Finally, the answer came, not in words but in a feeling, a profound sense of balance. The winds revealed that while some moments in life are meant to happen, guided by forces beyond our understanding, the majority of our journey is shaped by our own decisions. Free will and destiny, they said, are not opposites but partners in the dance of existence. There are crossroads in our lives where the pull of fate is strong, but it is our choices that determine how we navigate those intersections. I began to realize that my journey into the astral realms wasn't just about seeking hidden knowledge, it was about confronting my own role in shaping the course of my life. The whispers had brought me here to understand that the future is never fixed, it's alive, breathing, changing with every heartbeat, every thought, and every action. The winds began to ease, their intensity calming as if they had said all they needed to say. But before they fully faded, they left me with one last truth: the power to change your future lies in your hands, but it requires awareness, courage, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. As I left the expanse of the whispering winds, I felt a deep shift within me. Time was no longer a rigid force, something to be feared or controlled. It was a vast landscape, and I was free to explore it, shape it, and create my path. But with that freedom came responsibility. The choices I made from this moment forward would echo far beyond the present. With the wind still softly whispering behind me, I continued my journey through the astral realms, knowing that the answers I sought were not in some distant future but in the decisions I made today. Chapter 7: The Echoes of Lost Civilizations. The first time I found myself standing amidst the ruins of an ancient civilization on the astral planes, it was as though I had stepped into the heart of a forgotten dream. The ground beneath me didn't feel like earth, nor did the air carry the familiar weight of time. Everything shimmered with an otherworldly light, and yet, I knew this place had existed, once, long ago, on our earth. It was a civilization that had flourished and faded, its existence erased from the annals of history. But here, in the astral realms, it still lived, preserved in spirit, waiting for those attuned to its echoes. I soon realized that I had arrived in what was once Atlantis, or perhaps Lemuria, one of the many lost civilizations that had vanished so long ago that even their names had become myth. Here, the stone towers, once proud and tall, were now weathered by astral winds, and yet they still radiated power. Symbols and intricate carvings adorned the walls, not in any language I recognized but in patterns that spoke directly to the soul. These were the remnants of a civilization far more advanced than anything we could imagine, spiritually, mentally, and technologically. Their knowledge had not been lost entirely, it lingered here, waiting for those bold enough to seek it out. As I wandered through the ruins, I felt a presence, a kind of collective consciousness that whispered to me from the shadows of the crumbling structures. The whispers were not like the faint messages I had encountered before, these were full of intent, carrying a sense of urgency. It was as though these lost civilizations were speaking directly to me, offering their wisdom to anyone willing to listen. Atlantis, Lemuria, and others like them had understood the universe in ways we could scarcely imagine today. Their insights into energy, the soul, and the cosmos were unparalleled. They had mastered the art of harnessing the Earth's energy lines, creating technologies that blurred the line between the physical and the spiritual. They didn't just build cities, they built living entities, spaces that were attuned to the vibration of the cosmos, where every stone and every breath resonated with a purpose greater than mere survival. But as I delved deeper into the echoes of these civilizations, I began to understand why they had fallen. Their downfall wasn't due to a lack of wisdom or technological prowess, it was due to the hubris that comes with such power. They had forgotten the delicate balance between spiritual evolution and material progress. The more they pushed the boundaries of the universe, the more they lost sight of their connection to it. And so, they collapsed, consumed by the very forces they had sought to control. I stood in awe, absorbing the lessons that these lost civilizations were eager to share. They hadn't just left behind ruins, they had left behind a blueprint, a map of spiritual evolution that could guide humanity if we were wise enough to follow it. The whispers urged me to remember this, to carry their lessons back with me to the physical world. For the knowledge of these ancient cultures wasn't just meant for the past, it was a gift for the future, for those of us willing to heed the warnings of the forgotten. There, in the heart of the astral planes, I felt the cyclical nature of civilizations. They rise, they fall, and they leave their imprint on the collective memory of the universe. Each civilization's wisdom is stored in the astral realms, waiting to be rediscovered by those ready to evolve. And now, as I stood among the remnants of a world long gone, I knew that this wisdom was calling to me. It was time to bring it back to our world, a world teetering on the edge of its own collapse, in desperate need of the forgotten knowledge of those who came before us. In the end, I realized that the rise and fall of civilizations were not just historical events, they were spiritual lessons. Every fall was a reminder of the dangers of losing balance, and every rise was an invitation to grow, to transcend, and to move closer to the true nature of the universe. The echoes of these lost civilizations were not just stories from the past, they were guideposts for the future, and I had been chosen to follow their path. Chapter 8, The Shadow of the Abyss. The air was heavier here. In the astral planes, everything felt lighter, more fluid, until I reached this place. The abyss. It stretched before me, vast and unnerving, an endless chasm of darkness that seemed to swallow everything in its path. There were no stars here, no familiar light to guide me, only an oppressive, suffocating blackness that pressed in on all sides. I stood at the edge, frozen, staring into its depths, unsure if it was pulling me in or if I was being compelled to jump. For the first time since my journey began, I felt fear, real and visceral. The whispers, those guiding voices that had been with me since I first touched the astral realms, were faint, almost drowned out by the overwhelming silence of this place. I wanted to turn back. My heart pounded, and a voice, my own, urged me to retreat. What was I doing here? What lay beneath that dark, yawning chasm? But then I heard it again, faint but steady, the familiar whisper. It wasn't coaxing me forward this time, it was telling me to look inward. The abyss, it said, was not just a place. It was a mirror, a reflection of everything I had yet to face within myself. My fears, my doubts, the traumas I had buried long ago. This was no simple obstacle to be bypassed, it was a confrontation with my own shadow. I felt a tightening in my chest, memories I thought I had long buried rising to the surface. Every failure, every mistake, every regret, they gathered at the edges of my consciousness, circling like vultures. And the abyss, silent, cold, waited for me to step in. Part of me wanted to leave, to walk away from the darkness and return to the safety of the realms I had come to know. But I had come too far. The whispers told me there was no real progress without confronting the shadow within. So, with a deep breath, I closed my eyes and took a step into the abyss. As I descended into the blackness, it was not the sensation of falling that overtook me, but a deeper sinking, into memories, into forgotten wounds. Images flashed before me, moments I had avoided for years, decisions that had haunted me. It felt like drowning, yet I could breathe. The abyss was relentless, presenting every unresolved pain, every hidden fear. There was no escape. But as I continued to descend, something shifted. I realized that the darkness wasn't just a threat, it was part of me. Every wound I had suffered, every fear I held onto, they had shaped who I was. The abyss wasn't here to consume me, it was here to teach me. There could be no light without the dark, no strength without struggle. Balance was the key. I felt the shift in my understanding. The deeper I went, the more I saw how the abyss was not just a place of terror, it was also a place of truth. It held the lessons of pain and growth, showing that the path to enlightenment wasn't just about the pursuit of light but also the acceptance of darkness. I had to face my own shadow, to integrate it, to accept that part of me if I were to progress. As these revelations settled in my mind, the blackness around me began to change. It softened, becoming less oppressive. I could feel the boundaries of the abyss loosening their grip on me. And then, from somewhere deep within the darkness, I saw it, a faint glimmer of light. It was small, barely noticeable at first, but it grew as I moved toward it. The light wasn't something external, it was coming from within me. It illuminated the darkness, not by banishing it but by revealing its purpose. The whispers became clearer now, reminding me that darkness and light are inseparable. They are two sides of the same coin, forces that must be balanced if I was to unlock the deeper mysteries of the astral realms. With this understanding, I rose. The abyss no longer felt like a trap or a punishment but a necessary part of the journey. I realized that to master the astral planes, I had to master myself, both the light and the shadow. As I ascended from the abyss, I felt lighter, yet more grounded. The darkness still lingered, but it no longer held fear over me. It was part of the whole, a teacher rather than an enemy. I knew now that I could never truly escape the shadows within me, but I could learn to live with them, to find strength in both the light and the dark. The abyss had revealed one of the deepest secrets of the astral planes, that true wisdom and enlightenment come from embracing the entirety of oneself, both the radiant and the shadowed. And as I emerged from that dark chasm, I was no longer the same. I was whole. The whispers, now clear and strong, welcomed me back. But they were no longer leading me blindly. I was now walking alongside them, fully aware, fully attuned. The journey wasn't over. In fact, it had only just begun. Chapter 9, The Astral Council and the Final Revelation. The journey had been long and winding, full of uncertainties, but now, standing before the Astral Council, I knew I had arrived at the most pivotal moment of my existence. The Council, composed of ancient beings whose energy pulsed with the essence of the cosmos, was unlike anything I had ever imagined. Their forms were fluid, shifting between light and shadow, yet I could sense a deep wisdom in their presence. They had been watching me all along, guiding my steps through the astral realms, waiting for this very meeting. The chamber we stood in was not a place of stone or wood, it was a space carved from pure energy, suspended in a shimmering void. The air around us hummed with the vibrations of countless souls, all interconnected, like strands of a web that stretched across the cosmos. The astral planes were far more than just another realm, they were the very fabric that held everything together. And now, I stood before the keepers of that fabric. The council did not speak with words. Their communication was telepathic, their thoughts flowing directly into my consciousness. They revealed the final secret, the truth about the nature of the astral planes, the purpose of human existence, and the interconnectedness of all things. Every soul, they explained, is a thread in the vast tapestry of the universe, woven together with intention and purpose. The astral planes serve as the bridge between the material world and the divine, a place where the essence of life, death, and rebirth merge into one. In the physical world, we often see ourselves as separate beings, isolated in our individual experiences. But in truth, everything is connected. The emotions we feel, the choices we make, ripple across the cosmos, influencing not only our own lives but the lives of others, whether we realize it or not. The whispers I had heard, the messages I had received, were part of this grand design. They had been guiding me, showing me the way, so I could help others see the truth as well. The council revealed that the astral planes were not merely a place of mystery but a vital part of the cosmic balance. Every soul that ventured here, whether consciously or in dreams, played a role in maintaining that balance. Some came to seek knowledge, others to find healing, but all were participants in the great dance of existence. I was no different. My journey had been one of discovery, but now, as the final revelation washed over me, I understood that I had a choice to make. You have been shown the secrets of the forgotten realms, the council's thoughts entered my mind, resonating deeply. Now, you must decide your path. I was offered two choices. The first was to remain in the astral planes as a guardian, a protector of these sacred realms. I could continue to explore their mysteries, to dwell in the presence of the council and the infinite wisdom they offered. The second choice was to return to the physical world, armed with the knowledge I had gained, to live once again among the living, but with a new purpose. I hesitated. The idea of staying in the astral planes was tempting. Here, there was no pain, no suffering, only pure knowledge and peace. I could transcend the limitations of the physical body, exist as an eternal spirit, unburdened by the weight of earthly concerns. But as I stood there, gazing at the council, something stirred deep within me. I remembered the world I had come from, the people I had left behind, the ones still searching, still struggling to find meaning in their lives. I realized that my journey had never been just about me. The wisdom I had gained, the secrets I now understood, were not meant to be hoarded. They were meant to be shared. The whispers had called to me so that I could become a messenger, a bridge between worlds. If I stayed here, I would be abandoning those who needed to hear the truth. I choose to return, I said, though the words were not spoken aloud. I have a mission to fulfill. The council seemed to approve of my decision. Their energy shifted, becoming warmer, more radiant. They bestowed upon me their final blessing, a surge of light that filled me with a sense of purpose and clarity unlike anything I had ever felt. The knowledge I had gained would remain with me, but so too would the responsibility. I was now a bearer of the secrets of the astral planes, and it was my duty to share that knowledge with those who were ready to hear it. As the light enveloped me, I felt myself being pulled back, drawn through the layers of the astral realms, past the swirling energies and ethereal landscapes I had traversed. The veil between worlds, once so elusive, now felt familiar, like a doorway I could cross at will. And then, in an instant, I was back. The physical world rushed to greet me. The weight of my body, the air in my lungs, the sounds of life all around me, it was overwhelming, yet comforting. I had returned, but I was not the same. I carried with me the wisdom of the forgotten realms, the knowledge of the astral council, and the understanding that all things were connected. My journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, ready to fulfill my mission. The whispers of the astral planes still echoed in my mind, and I knew that they would guide me as I helped others awaken to the truth. The veil had been lifted, and I was no longer a mere traveler. I was a guardian of the forgotten realms, a keeper of the whispers, and a messenger of the cosmos. Chapter 10, Return to the Physical Realm. I awoke with a sharp intake of breath, the familiar weight of my body pulling me back to the physical world. For a moment, I lay there, disoriented, my mind still lingering on the edge of the astral planes. The silence of my room was deafening compared to the vibrant hum of the realms I had just left. The air felt heavier here, more solid, and every sensation, every movement, was sharper. Yet, something was different within me, something had shifted. As I sat up, the memories of my journey through the forgotten realms flooded back, but they no longer felt distant or otherworldly. They were a part of me now, woven into my very being. I could still hear the whispers, faint but clear enough to understand. They had followed me back, not as voices from an unreachable place, but as a guiding force that would forever be a part of my life. I touched my chest, feeling the steady beat of my heart, yet I knew I wasn't the same person who had set out on this journey. The lessons I had learned in the astral planes had transformed me. I saw the world with new eyes, sharper, more aware of the unseen currents that flowed through everything. The veil between the physical and the ethereal had thinned, and I now understood that the realms I had visited weren't separate from this world but interconnected, constantly influencing each other. With each breath, I felt the weight of the knowledge I had gained. The spirits, the ancient guides, had shown me truths that could not be unlearned. I had glimpsed the soul of the universe, seen how every thought, action, and energy left ripples across both realms. The whispers of the forgotten realms had spoken of balance, of understanding, and of embracing the interconnectedness of all things. Now, it was time to bring those teachings back into the world I once knew. The transition back to everyday life wasn't seamless. I found myself drifting between the clarity of the astral wisdom and the mundane routines of the physical world. Walking through the streets, I saw people, busy with their lives, unaware of the currents of energy swirling around them. They were oblivious to the realms just beyond the veil, realms that whispered to those who dared listen. But I had been there, and I carried those whispers with me. The truths I had learned were not just for me. They were meant to be shared, to help others awaken to the potential within themselves, to show them that there is more beyond the surface of the physical world. I felt a deep sense of responsibility now, knowing that I had been entrusted with this knowledge. I began to reflect on how the lessons of the astral planes could be applied to my everyday existence. Spiritual growth wasn't just about visiting mystical places or receiving revelations. It was about embodying the wisdom in everything I did, in my interactions with others, in the way I handled challenges, in how I navigated the flow of life. I had learned that every thought held power, every action sent out ripples, and every soul was part of a greater tapestry. Self-awareness had been the cornerstone of my journey in the astral realms, and it was now my guide in the physical world. The whispers had taught me that true awareness is not just about understanding the external, but about knowing yourself deeply, your intentions, your fears, your desires. It is about recognizing the patterns in your life and breaking free from those that no longer serve you. I could feel this clarity within me now, a quiet knowing that guided me through the noise and distractions of everyday life. As I walked through the familiar streets, I realized that my purpose had shifted. I was no longer just a seeker of wisdom, I had become a bridge between worlds. The lessons I had learned in the forgotten realms were not just for me, they were meant to be shared. I felt an overwhelming sense of duty to help others awaken, to show them that the whispers were there for everyone if they only knew how to listen. The veil between the realms may be thin, but it still exists. Many people go through life unaware, trapped in the physical, never knowing that there is so much more beyond what they can see and touch. But I knew now that it was my mission to help them lift that veil, to guide them toward their own spiritual awakening. The forgotten realms may seem distant to most, but they hold the keys to the deepest truths of our existence. I made a silent vow that day, standing in the middle of a busy street, the world rushing by around me. I would dedicate my life to sharing the wisdom I had gained, to helping others find their way to the realms that had revealed so much to me. The whispers would guide me, just as they had during my journey, and I would follow them with trust and purpose. My journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The astral planes had opened my eyes to the true nature of reality, and now it was time to help others do the same. I had returned to the physical realm, but I would never be the same again. And neither would the world around me, not if I had anything to say about it. With a deep breath, I smiled. I was ready for whatever came next. The whispers of the forgotten realms were still with me, and I would never walk alone. As I sit here now, after all the journeys I've taken, all the realms I've visited, one thing remains constant: the whispers never stop. They are always there, floating on the edge of perception, waiting for someone willing to hear them. And if there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this: the astral planes are never far from us. They are not some distant or unreachable place, they exist right beside us, overlapping with the physical world in ways we can scarcely imagine. The whispers of the forgotten realms are speaking even now, to anyone who dares to listen. In my time traversing these mystical planes, I've learned that they don't just reveal their secrets all at once. The knowledge they hold is given in fragments, symbols, and visions that often make sense only in hindsight. But that's the beauty of it. The astral realms are a mirror to the soul, a place where truths reveal themselves only as you become ready to understand them. The whispers I've followed have led me to places both incredible and terrifying, to truths that are both liberating and humbling. And yet, there is still so much I do not know. There are always more mysteries, more hidden corners of the universe, waiting to be uncovered. And that, I think, is the ultimate message the astral planes leave us with: that the journey is never truly over. You, too, are part of this. If you've been drawn to listen to this story, then perhaps the whispers have already started for you. Maybe you felt them, those strange intuitions, those fleeting dreams that seem to carry meaning, the moments when reality feels thinner, like it's bending around you. Those are your calls, your invitations to explore the unknown. And if you ever feel ready, you don't have to look far. The journey to the astral planes doesn't require special tools or knowledge. It begins with a willingness to open yourself to the unseen, to let your intuition guide you. All it takes is a quiet mind, a stillness within yourself, and the ability to trust that the universe will show you what you need to see, when you're ready to see it. As I close this chapter, I leave you with one final thought. The whispers of the forgotten realms do not belong to any one person, they are part of a vast, ancient river of knowledge that flows through all of us. Each of us is a seeker, whether we realize it or not. And the moment you choose to listen, to truly listen, you'll find that the astral planes are already speaking to you. So, remember this, the whispers are eternal. They are out there, waiting for you, just as they waited for me. And when you hear them, when you feel that subtle shift in the air, know that you are not alone. The realms are always there, just beyond the veil, inviting you to discover the truths that are meant for you. The journey never ends. The whispers never cease. And perhaps, one day, we will meet again, somewhere between worlds, where time fades and the astral winds carry us toward the next great mystery. Until then, trust the whispers, and let them guide you wherever they may lead. The forgotten realms are waiting. If you enjoyed the story, please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Your support means a lot, and it helps us bring more captivating tales to life. Thank you.